Hello everyone, this is Muhammad Imran. Today we will discuss a very interesting topic, and that is properties of auxiliary verbs. So the properties of auxiliary verbs can be coded in the word nice. So N stands for negation, I stands for inversion, C stands for code, and E stands for emphasis. Let's discuss in detail properties of auxiliary verbs. So here we have the four letters of the word nice. N stands for negation, I stands for inversion, C stands for code, and E stands for emphasis. So next time, if someone asks you what are the properties of an auxiliary verb, you can say that negation, inversion, code, and emphasis. And as an acronym, you can say NICE, right? So NICE has four letters, and every letter stands for one property of auxiliary verb. Let's discuss what is negation, what is inversion, what is code, and what is emphasis as property of auxiliary verb. First, we'll talk about the first property of an auxiliary verb, and that is negation. We form negative sentences by putting not after the operator. When we say operator, so we are referring to auxiliary verb. Ame and Dave are getting married in April. So it's a statement, but it's not a negative one. It's a declarative one, right? So Ame and Dave are not getting married in April. So we put here not. So that is the first property of an auxiliary verb that we make a sentence negative or a statement negative, right? Or not. Now, Nancy will be staying with us. Nancy will not be staying with us. So we put not after an auxiliary verb to make a sentence negative. That's negation. So for negation, we use not after auxiliary verb. So in informal style, not is often contracted to and. And in writing, we use and then apostrophe and then T is attached to the operator. So Ame and Dave aren't getting married in April. So when we say aren't, so we are using the contracted form of are not, right? So the first property of an auxiliary verb is that to make a statement negative, and we put not after an operator or after an auxiliary verb. So that is the first property of an auxiliary verb, to make a statement negative. The second property of an auxiliary verb is inversion. By inversion, we mean to change the subject and operator position. We form most types of question by inverting the position of subject and operator. So we change the position of subject and operator. How? For example, we have a statement, right? An affirmative statement. You could have been imagining it. It's an affirmative statement. And if you want to form a question, so you will change the subject and operator position. You is subject and could is operator, right? So could you have been imagining it? You can see here that we brought could at the beginning of a sentence, and after operator we put here you. So this is the second property of an auxiliary verb, that we form question, and when we form question, we change the subject operator position, right? So this is known as subject operator inversion. Let me give you another example. For example, if I say that you can speak English, it's a statement. And can you speak English? So I bring can, which is an operator, auxiliary, at the beginning position. Can you speak English. So I'm changing the subject operating position. So we also use auxiliary verb for inversion. This is called inversion, when you change the subject operator position. The third property of an auxiliary verb is code. So the operator can stand alone in a sentence when the main verb is understood or implied. How? Let me give an example. Are you leaving? B says, yes, I am. So what is am? It is an operator because it is understood. Leaving is understood. That's why it is left. Are you leaving? Yes, I am. So we don't have to mention here leaving. So here it acts like a code, right? You are talking in code. It's an act of code. Next example. Karine and Tom haven't seen the movie, but Ame has. So when we say Ame has, it means that she has seen the movie. Again, it is called code. It's a function. Has is an auxiliary verb. So the function of an auxiliary verb is also a code, right? So I'll take one if you will. Again, you can see I'll take one if you will. Again, will is used here and it acts as a code. So I'll take one if you will. So after the will comes the verb take, but no need to mention here the verb take because here will acts as a code. No need, right? Or let me give you some more example. If I say I'm very interested in English as a second language, and so does she, right? When I say so does she, so here it does, it acts as a code. It means that she is also interested in second language acquisition, right? Or if I say that I visited Islamabad last night and so did my brother. So here did also acts as a code. So did I. It means that my brother also visited Islamabad. So that is the third property of an auxiliary verb, that it acts as a code, right? And we used in short sentences. We don't mention all things, right? So the operator can stand alone in a sentence when the main verb is understood or implied. If I say, I visited Islamabad last night and so did my brother. So the verb visited is understood and it is implied here, right? Here we have the last property of an auxiliary verb, and that is emphasis. The operator carries emphatic stress in speech. For example, A says, finish your homework. B says, I have finished it. So here, have is emphasized. You can see it is capitalized here in written form. I have finished it, right? Now, A says, I am afraid to tell my parents. B says, you must tell them. So here must, it is stress. And when you stress an auxiliary verb, so you're doing what? You are emphasizing it. So that is for emphasis. So we also use an auxiliary verb to emphasize something. Fine? So that is for emphasis. For example, I tell you that you didn't attend my class yesterday, and you tell me, sir, I did attend your class. So here did is used for what? For emphasis. So this is another property of an auxiliary verb. So I hope you got it, okay, that we use a word nice for the property of auxiliary verbs. And nice stand for negation, I stand for inversion, and C stand for code, and E stand for emphasis. So next time, I hope it will be quite easy for you to describe the property of an auxiliary verb. So that was all about the properties of auxiliary verb. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe and like the channel. Thank you so much.